Yeah, I think that's a good point, and I think for anybody that is stressed out, I think there's some things to remember right now, and that is that, like Angry Beaver brings up a good point here, and so many people have said this, like, who has more money to DCA at this point? Yeah, not many. I mean, not many do. I mean, basically, at this point, I doubt many people just have money, like cash, literally sitting waiting to get in on the sideline because you wouldn't have thought we'd be coming back down here or whatever, and people are just kind of, I don't want to say living paycheck to paycheck, but just waiting for money to come in that they can DCA with maybe. That's kind of a personal finance decision, but I do understand that, many people, if you're really into this thing, you're not sitting there with tons of cash on the side. And who wants to be? I mean, once you realize what cash is, you don't want to be. So I
Right.
understand that.
Right.
But some solaces to take here. So number one, you can buy at these prices still. Number two, if you're like Ewok and I mean, you can, if you want the entire stack, I mean, we're not telling you what to do, but I am doing it. I mean, you can throw your entire Pulse and Pulse X stack into the LP farms. Like, and I'm not talking about like the ones against USDC or something like that are way more risky and offer like very high percentages. Some people do that. Some people like to manage it and stuff like that. If you want to do that, that's fine. But if you want more of like I don't want to say set it and forget it, but nearly, the Pulse X farm offers, I mean, the lowest I've really seen is like 15% APY. It's been up to the low 20s. And as long as that ratio from Pulse to Pulse X stays in that 2, even up to 3-to-1 range, which it has been basically its entire existence. I mean, Pulse X was weaker way back at the very, very beginning. But as long as it stays in there and you're earning incentive token, I mean, it takes a lot for you to lose money from that. I mean,
Yeah.
you're earning lots of incentive token. Incentive token is a like 3-4x away from the highs when it was $8 back in March. I mean, it was like $80 at launch, but I'm not talking about that. So I mean, but it could be $80 again one day. You know what I mean? Or even if it's $20, like imagine what the yield is that you would be earning right now.
Yep.
So, I know people aren't as keen on hex staking right now, and I totally understand it. I'm not even telling you to be, but if you're looking for more like yield in the short term while you're waiting for this ecosystem to turn around and you're tired of just DCing into Pulse and Pulse X, we'll throw it in the LP too. And I've also been an advocate of getting leverage on Pulse within the ecosystem too. And I have bought plenty of Tangang coins, plenty of other stuff. That's for you to decide what you want to do with that and taking very low risk buys on them anyway. But that's for you to figure out. I'm just saying that like there are ways if you're tired of not having enough money to DCA or you're just stressed about the Pulse price not going up, there are other ways to try to make money from this ecosystem in the short term. So what kind of advice would you maybe give Ewok for people who are just like tired of sitting on their hands, don't have more money to DCA? I know you're a fan of the LPing too, but what else do you have to say there?
Yeah, there are. I mean, so there's other things out there too that are, providing some passive income. It's not always just Pulse X. There's 9mm. There's, I believe, 9-inch has some single-sided staking that you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're not earning. You are earning the, what is it?
BBC.
BBC coin.
Know.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, BBC
Yep.
coin. As a reward, but you can also turn that around, and some of these yields are pretty high percentage. There is the you have to be careful and over collateralize, but you could also earn some yield with the liquid loans or the some of the other platforms. There's a Hex one, there's a Pulse X one, there's a Pulse Chain one, where you can borrow against your funds and stake them, provide stability platform, stability coins. There's different ways to earn if you're really into it. Now it does take some work, and you make it what you make it what you want it to be. For me, I go in every once a week and take care of it. I will harvest my yield. I will go into liquid loans. I will harvest all of that stuff. I will sell what I need to, or sell what I've earned 4 out of the 5 weeks or something like that. Pay down the loan so that I'm still over collateralized. It's just one of those. There's so many different little things out there that are available to us. that if you don't have, fresh DCA powder, there's ways to get it. So, you have to do your own research and do what you feel comfortable doing. Obviously, if you're not comfortable doing it and you're not familiar enough with it, I don't recommend playing around with it, because it is a good way to, you know, screw around and lose a stack of money because you didn't understand the protocol. So just be very careful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
said. 9-inch. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you can do that. 9-inch has a lot of great products, and Hexy Bastard, I think, has a lot of awesome stuff in store for that too. So they are doing amazing things right now for sure. So shout out to them. Yeah, but I know it's hard to sit on your hands right now, but there are things that you can do in the meantime. It's just a psychological thing. And I would also recommend people watch Frank Molina's channel. Like, he's a friend of the show, been on a couple of times, and his mindset about it, I think, is very valuable for people. And you will have people that have the victim mentality that hear him speak and are like, oh, okay, would be nice to have a high paying job like you. And it's not all about that. It's also just having a long-term mindset. And let me, I'm guessing that even if you don't make, not that I know what Frank makes, but even if you don't make 6 figures or something like that, I'm sure that you can tweak your lifestyle to have more influx of cash every month. I'm sure there are things that you do not need to be spending money on. I say this as a Nazi minimalist, to say the least. So, yeah, I'm sure there's the other buying power that you can uncover for sure. So,
well, and
yeah.
something else we did see, and I think I mentioned this to you earlier today. We were chatting or something like that. I said, but this ecosystem, we thought there were a lot more diamond-handed people than there really are. It turns out that it was a bunch of people that got wealthy quick, probably retired because they thought this was going to go on forever. Now they're living off of crypto, and the price of the charts really show it. There weren't as many diamond-handed folks as we thought there were, or who said they were diamond-handed that really weren't. So, that's part of this whole thing too. I saw DJ Moonboy asking for predictions earlier, man. It's just so hard to right now.
I think he was messing with me. That was when I was saying I wasn't doing any more predictions, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But I think that really is playing out as well. People retired way too early, and the charts are definitely showing. We got Hexologist looking for a job. He said it the other day on his stream. And I'm not calling him out for it, but I'm he's bored. He's bored. He sitting at home being, he's probably 35, 36 years old, however old he is. He's bored. He wants to get out and do things too. So, getting a job isn't all that bad. And, it doesn't have to be anything like you're searching for a new career. But if you are or did retire on crypto, get something, that way you can maybe have a little bit extra to get back in at these levels, and you're not selling, especially not selling at these prices. You will thank yourself later for it.
As DJ Moonboy said, yeah, that's why we're giving these other ideas to like not just sit on your hands, like earning that LP and stuff like that. I mean, you can see the ink rewards, and then when the ecosystem pumps, it's like, whoa, this is pumping way more than I realized it would, because I have all this ink in here too. So little things like that can help you to at least see money that you're making on the side, because the ink rewards do the amount of ink anyway, maybe not the price so much now, but the amount of the ink token, even with 15% APY. It goes pretty hard. I mean, like, you'll see how much you're earning. Now, the bigger your Pulse and Pulse X stack, the better, of course. But yeah, you don't want to be a Derek Jeter, who I will say one of the most overrated Major League Baseball players of all time. Not good, not a good defensive shortstop. I just want to throw that out there. Everybody just loved him because he played for the Yankees.
And yes, he did say he has Crohn's. So
shit, that sucks. Okay.
Yeah. So
Derek
I wasn't
Jeter.
No, not Derek.
Hexo. Okay.
Hexo. So
I gotcha. Yeah. I hope Hexo is well. I wasn't laughing at like the thought of getting a job. I just the way
I wasn't
up out of nowhere. It was funny.
I know you weren't.
Yeah. So okay, there's our cope talk. So I hope that helped you all out. It's funny. I mean, like every now and then, and I'm not even like looking down on like cope conversations, or if you don't want to call that a cope conversation, that's fine. But we in crypto, everybody's in need of one sometimes. Like sometimes, you can call it cope and we roll our eyes at it, but it's also just like, if you're this highly like leveraged or invested in something, like you do need to have kind of a psychological reset every now and then, and it helps.
For
It helps
sure.
me,
Yep.
even if I'm deluding myself. Hey, fine. Anyway.